Greetings, young adventurers. Welcome back to the channel. Eric's UK here with RPG Day 2023, day 24. And today's topic is complex and simple games that you like. I'm going to tweak this one a little bit. So, for the majority of my gaming life, I would say that role-playing games were always simple. Basic D&D, even Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, first, second edition, were simple systems. You didn't need a PhD to get the most out of them. You could quite easily play them. Call of Cthulhu, nice and simple. Rolemaster had a little bit of complexity to character creation, but ultimately, once you got your head on it, it was great. And I think most RPGs of the 80s, 90s, early 00s fall under the simple category. You didn't need to do a lot. It came down a lot, I think, to the story that you were telling, the campaign, the skill of the GM, and the ability of the players to immerse themselves in the game. I think things began to change, to become more complex. I'm going to say with the release of D&D 3rd, but actual fact, it was before that, and it came from the likes of the storyteller game systems from White Wolf, Vampire the Masquerade, Way of the Apocalypse, and so on, who added a very intrinsic, I think that's the right word, merits and flaws system to what would have otherwise been a very simple, straightforward system. And this allowed you to, it was designed to allow you to pick positives and negatives, merits and flaws, that apply to your character on a story basis. But I have seen players basically power game that mechanic in the past to create powerful characters, to get the most benefit out of it. And I think that's where it starts. D&D 3rd edition brought in the feats system, which is not something that I had seen in anything prior, really. And the feat system, which was used by 3.x and Pathfinder 1st, and to a lesser extent now Pathfinder 2, basically meant that you could give characters new special abilities as they leveled. And quite frankly, although you could do this on a very basic level, you also ended up with quite a complex system depending on the character build. I'll give you an example. In a Pathfinder campaign I played in prior to COVID, I had a tiefling fighter, clip-off spawn, for those that know Pathfinder 1st, who was built purely around making one single attack, what's called a vital strike in the feat system, with other abilities that added to it to basically ensure that I hit and I did a shed load of damage. But it got to a point by the time we hit 15th, 16th level that my friend Jay, who was the player next to me on these sessions, basically had to have like a spreadsheet to help me work out the damage he could do. Because the combination of feats, items, racial traits, and so forth made it very, very difficult, made it very complicated. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. In fact, it made a very interesting character. Certainly not something I would play again to that level. I was really kind of pushing the boat out. But it's something that I have noticed in role-playing over the last 20 years, where you've had things like D&D 4th and 5th, where they've tried to go back to a simpler system. I think a lot of role-playing games now focus more on the more complicated, more complex, in-depth mechanical approach. And I was talking to someone not so long back about basic D&D, the old red box D&D, saying as much as I loved that, I don't think now, after having played 3rd edition and Pathfinder First, there is no way I could go back to playing a simpler, less involved game system. I think I just wouldn't enjoy it as much. Now, that's not to say I couldn't play something like Call of Cthulhu or RuneQuest, which is a very basic, straightforward system. But to play a ongoing, in-depth role-playing campaign now, because of the D20 system, I would want something with a bit more complexity to it. Not too much, because you want it so that new players can pick it up. But I would want something that gives me that little bit extra to tweak my characters, give me a little bit more in depth with the character creation and the things that I can do in game. Doesn't mean that simple game systems are bad, quite the opposite. I think they're great for getting people into the hobby, and I think they are great when you have a bit of roleplay burnout, which we all get from time to time. Now, I liked playing simple systems, but having played a more complex style game for as long as I have, that's now become my preferred method. And I'm not even the sharpest tool in the box to get the most out of it. But what it does mean is that there are games out there for everybody. You've got someone that doesn't want to put a lot of time and effort in, or they just want something that they can just jump into each week and just play and have fun. There's your D&D 5th. Want something after that fact where you can jump feet first in and create the superhuman hero that you can't be in the office during the rest of the week. You've got complicated systems, complex systems, and that's great. It all comes down to what you as a player or you as a GM or you as a group want out of your role-playing experience. Right, that's my thoughts. Thanks for watching. I'd like to see your responses down below. That's all great. In the meantime, if you liked it, give me a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, take care, good gaming.